the reason I'm watching this is because look, this is from a show that I actually have listened to for so long, because not this channel specifically, but like one of the hosts here, which is Garrett. He is the co-host on another show that I've watched since forever, which is The Instance. It's like, I think it must be the oldest World of Warcraft podcast. If it's not the oldest one, it's definitely one of the best ones. Because I listened to The Instance pretty much since whenever I started playing WoW. It was like The Instance. Also, Blue Please was another show that I would listen to a lot. Rest in peace, John Bain. And it's like, these were two podcasts that I would listen to a lot when it comes to World of Warcraft. And so this is Garrett, who, like I said, he's currently one of the co-hosts of The Instance. The host is Scott Johnson. And Garrett has kind of like become kind of in love with Final Fantasy XIV, which is interesting because in one of the Instance episodes, he goes and he says, this show is never going to be about Final Fantasy XIV. We're not even going to talk that much about Final Fantasy XIV as long as I'm here because I don't like that game. I don't care about that game at all. And now apparently he's like getting addicted to it. And I'm just kind of curious to hear how that whole thing played out. And he says that this video says how FF14 won us over. And I'm really curious about what that is going to be like.
Says that you just keep yelling copium at me whenever I say anything positive about World of Warcraft. Copium.
Wait.
The meanest thing anyone says that you just keep yelling copium at me whenever I say anything positive about World of Warcraft. Copium. Copium. We've got copium here. And that's fine. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. This is Grinding Gear. I'm Garrett Weinzel here as always with Kyle Ferguson, and it has just been a damn awesome end of the year for us. We've been wanting to put more time into YouTube, Kyle, and the response to starting to do Final Fantasy XIV videos has just been amazing. So we thought we would have a little chat today about how the hell we got here.
Yeah, a little cap to the year, a little 10,000 sub celebration. Thank you everybody who sub if you haven't. This has been quite the journey. In fact, the journey is an emotional one.
And by the way, I'll link to the video ahead of time in case anybody wants to sub, watch their stuff, whatever, and make sure to hit the like on the video as well while you're there.
Chronicled in old news videos as well that weren't labeled Final Fantasy.
In terms of like how we got into this game, what was it like, man? How much of an absolute pain in the ass was it to break me down?
I've done this before with things like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon in the past. You don't force it on the person. You just leave on Star Wars enough that they eventually go, all right, what's this movie about? Like you just kind of bring it up enough. You keep playing the card game in front of them, and eventually they're like, John, fine, just get me a deck, I'm bored. And they will join. That's my strategy.
I feel like, I don't know if you meant to be as insidious as you were, but the fact that we had originally dusted this channel back off to start covering gaming news stories, and you're like, well, it's basically
gaming news stories always works great for YouTube, by the way. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic way to sync a channel most of the time.
A news story. Just put on your analytical hat and just dive in and look at it from a curious perspective of, well, why do people like this game so much? Don't make it about yourself. Make it about trying to understand why others like this game. And you sneaky bastard, it worked.
I certainly respond to visionaries, whether those are your Walt Disneys, your Chris Metzens, your Ben Broads, like someone getting up on stage and being impassioned by the product really moves me to actually invest in it. And that is basically what I forced you to do with the Yoshi P interviews. I just sit down, watch them, and you're like, oh, it's an hour. It's an hour and a half. I can't do it. Just do it.
I was watching one of them and I'm like, all right, I'll give it like 10 minutes just to get a vibe. And I ended up watching almost the entire damn thing. It was legitimately interesting. The man has a really interesting personality. And since then, too, you mentioned the No Clip documentary. I just finished watching that.
Oh, cool.
And dear God, dude, I have such... I felt like I kind of understood where A Realm Reborn was starting off, like at the death of OG Final Fantasy XIV, but I didn't realize like it was that direct.
Yeah.
Like I feel informed of the mythos now around this MMO's success. So getting back to our kind of where we were personally coming to it from. I mean, you'd been playing it for what, almost 2 years already, right? Like very, very slowly.
Yeah, I mean, free trial allowed me to come and go as I will. I was playing pretty intense there in mid 2019, but when my son was born, I took time off MMOs because it's very grindy and kids are naturally a lot of hours. I was watching in 2021 here, Demon Slayer. I was thinking to myself, man, it'd be really fun to play like an anime video game. And I went out and I looked at a whole bunch of different ones. And eventually, after playing through Dragon Age, my buddy John was like, listen, if you want more RPG, go play Final Fantasy. So I fired it up. I walked around. I didn't remember my bar. So I was like level 22. I was right before the 1,000 Maws dungeon.
Oh no, that's such a bad time. I mean, it's not as bad timing as the timing was for Eric's, because Eric's was like after Praetorium. I mean, he was at Praetorium when I was talking to him. And yeah, I still don't know how that's going. I don't want to bother him because he's on vacation now. I'm very curious to see if he's going to stick with it. But yeah, this dungeon, let's just put it like this. This is not the best showcase for Final Fantasy XIV dungeons. Friggin' 1,000 Maws of Totorak. It's not very good. No, it's not the best. It's not what you want for someone who's like trying to get back into it. And your bars is also a major problem.
I was completely overwhelmed. So I went into the local inn and it started storming and the lightning was flashing. I was like, this is some nice weather.
Nice weather?
Got some darkness to it. I like that weather. And then someone came in a bard into this inn with nobody in it.
And they were
started playing Sailor Moon. And it was such a magical moment. Like this bard practicing their layout of Sailor Moon, probably for the main city. I'm the only one sitting there, and I'm like slash clap, and they're like slash bat, and it just kind of stuck with me.
And I had heard those stories. I very recently, right before the Endwalker patch, had my first experience with like a bard playing songs that I knew. I was walking by the Crystal and Limsa, and I'm hearing All the Small Things play.
Nice.
I'm glad you kept poking, because I've ended up with a game that I really, really enjoy. And it came at a good time, and I'm surprised it took as much work from you as it did, considering
this is definitely the thing. It seems to take a lot of effort for people to actually try it out. I think it was the same thing for me. Like a lot of you guys were here when I was completely given up on BFA, and I was like, I'm done. Never playing World of Warcraft again. Never playing MMOs again. I'm done forever with this goddamn genre. It's dead. It's over. Never want to do this again. And it's like several of you guys started saying, you should try out 14. Just try out 14. And it's like, I've played 14 back in like 2013 and it didn't click with me and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it was hard, but I feel like the key to it is always, because a lot of people jump into the game. They jump into the game and what do? They play it like World of Warcraft. That's the biggest problem, is that so many people jump on 14 and they play it like it's WoW. And what do I mean by that? It's like, look, if you look at my map right now, for instance, in the game, right? Let me put us into gameplay. If you look at my map, look at all these quests. Look at all that. Look, there's quests over here. Quests over here. Quests over here. Quests over here. Quests everywhere. This is a level 70 zone where I basically did nothing here. I did the main quest and then I left. I was just like, yep, this is good. I'm done. It's like, and I left all of these quests behind. I can come back and do them later. It's not a big deal. But the point is if you are playing World of Warcraft, most likely you are not going to do this. You're most likely not going to do this. You're gonna want to, round up all the quests, do all the quests, and then turn them all in, and then pick up whatever's left and do them all again and turn them all in. And that, I feel, is the mentality that kills, brand new players coming into the game. They jump into the game and they're trying to do everything, and there's too much to do. If you just focus on the main story quest, which, like I always like to say, if you go upper left-hand side, right here, main scenario quests, if you focus on what's here and whatever shows up below here, that's what you got to do. If you just do that, it's like playing a different game. You're not even playing the same game that you were when you were trying to play it like World of Warcraft. That's the problem. Side quests are for alt leveling. Not even that. Side quests are if you want to get additional quests, if you want to do quests. Because I don't even think that side quests are for alt leveling, to be honest. Like, if you want to level an alt, you're better off doing fates, dungeons, almost anything else besides side quests. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You're better off going to like freaking Bosja if you can. There's tons of stuff that you can do that don't necessarily involve side quests that reward you more. So, yeah.
Burnout on World of Warcraft, I was.
Well, and that's the thing, the burnout on WoW contributed to so many factors along with the scandals at Blizzard. It was just easier to give up on MMOs, but a lot like Dragon Age is a tactics game or Mass Effect is a tiny walls hide behind game. The gameplay is but a vessel for the story in those cases. You might not love tiny walls combat. You might not love Gears of War. You might not love The Division, but you put up with it for Mass Effect because it's part of that story. To me now, tab targeting doesn't feel like a old and moldy system. It's merely the vessel that Final Fantasy is using to tell its story.
Yep. Tab targeting is not an inherent turnoff for me, and I was flirting with other MMOs. So I spent some time with Elder Scrolls Online, which I really enjoy. There's a relaxation aspect of MMOs that is a big part of the appeal for me. And it's not to say that I think Elder Scrolls is difficult. It's just that the action orientation of its combat means I need to be more aware of what's going on.
The thing that he's going for here, by the way, and I know this because, like I said, I listened to the other show that is in The Instance, and it's like the thing about it is that he's looking for what a lot of people call a podcast game. And it's like, you can't do that in Elder Scrolls because there's too much story. And it's like there's a lot of story in 14 as well, but 14 does have certain aspects of it that you can kind of play like a podcast game, which is almost like what I'm doing right now. If you see on the little small screen, I'm basically turning in like my fairy dailies, which is not something that I need to focus on at all because it doesn't have. I mean, it has kind of like a little bit of story to it, I guess, the first time that you do them. But after you've done them, it's like you can just turn these in and you're pretty much done with it, right? You can go do dungeons or whatever.
Blackbeards.
You can just like turn this stuff in and be done with it so you can be doing other things. And I think that's what he wants. And you can't really do that as much in Elder Scrolls, I feel like, because Elder Scrolls Online is very much just like playing another Elder Scrolls game, And I'll be real. I'll tell you what, and I know that this is going to be a bit of a controversial hot take, but let me tell you this. You want to know something? The good thing about Elder Scrolls Online when compared to a regular Elder Scrolls game, it actually has a fucking combat system. Oh, snap! Yeah, I said it. I fucking said it. It is what it is.
I've come back around to realizing that MMOs fulfill a very specific desire in my life.
And Drummer King Rules, thank you very much for being Gross Incandescent for 16 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. And Graybeards all the way. Yes, I've seen my recent appearance in Lulu's videos.
If only
I love Lulu's videos. Joygun, thank you very much for becoming Gross Incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a relaxing game experience. And part of that comes from tab targeting. But it also took me time to come to terms with the fact that I was burnout on World of Warcraft. Really bad. Probably the worst since Warlords, which was up until now the last time I unsubbed. I know a lot of people are like Battle for Azeroth. That was a big. I actually really had a good time with BFA for the most part. Do not disagree with people who didn't love BFA, but I think I had some extraneous.
Listen, BFA was when I was introduced to, because like I skipped a lot of expansions. I mean, I played them, but I didn't really like stuck with them. But it's like BFA was the first expansion where I was really dependent on that stupid fucking free-to-play mobile hot garbage chest, the weekly mythic chest, and that was literally what killed it for me. I couldn't handle that anymore. I was just like straight up done. Just straight up done. Voiden, thank you very much for becoming grossly incandescent. Actually, thank you very much for making Super Impulse grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you.
Social circumstances that made it a much better experience for me. I was really excited for Shadowlands. Theming of like going to a death realm was really exciting for me. And I think that combined with the fact that, you know, I was on the Instance podcast, I was doing WoW Killer with Taliesin. I think that carried me through a little bit longer than I would have if naturally left to my own devices. If I was just playing the game and I wasn't making content about it, I think I would have realized just how much I didn't care anymore a lot sooner. I think it's the same thing with me starting to like Final Fantasy XIV. Like I stopped worrying so much about what I wanted the game to be and started just looking at it for what it was. And with World of Warcraft, I was like, you know what? I don't think where it is right now is for me. On the other side of that coin, kind of just taking Final Fantasy XIV at face value made me go, oh, you know what? If I kind of set aside a lot of my expectations, like I was weirdly hung up on like loading, for example, like how much you loaded between zones.
Yeah.
Really in Final Fantasy XIV, but like
an SSD.
After like a good like solid, like it was a weekend and I sat there with a soda like I was in college again and I did like a 5-hour session. I don't even think about it anymore.
And I'm not bashing the gameplay by any means, but again, to me, it's this vessel. Pixel games have really taught me this. A pixel game can be extremely epic. Darkest Dungeon's art style is like weird and chibi and kind of odd, particularly Darkest Dungeon 1, but it's a vessel for a disturbing Lovecraftian story, and that stuff begins to matter a lot, and you put emotions into those characters, much like you place your own emotions on top of our stoic, non-speaking Final Fantasy character.
Dude, that's such a great, I think, jumping off point to get into buying into Final Fantasy's world, the world of A Realm Reborn and everything that follows. Very quickly into me revisiting Final Fantasy XIV, I was like, okay, yeah, no, I like this gameplay loop. The combat's fun. It's familiar. It's bringing that relaxation that I was looking for in an MMO to kind of take the place of World of Warcraft. But what I was not expecting was to actually buy into the story. And I have been told millions of times, it actually has a good story. It has good lore. It has memorable characters. And I was like, yes, that's all fine. But I'm not a Final Fantasy player. Like I've played 10, and that's kind of it.
Neither am I. That's the thing. I think that a lot of the people who play Final Fantasy XIV are not necessarily Final Fantasy players. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Zepla is also not a Final Fantasy player, right? I don't think she was into Final Fantasy before 14. She was a WoW player. She was essentially a WoW refugee, like most of us, essentially. Like a big portion of the population in 14 nowadays is WoW refugees. But yeah, it's just the thing. You don't have to be like this Final Fantasy player in order to enjoy this thing. And by the way, you guys need to be focusing the Fuath. Otherwise, we're all going to die here. All going to die here, guys. Okay.
It's like, this is whatever. They're not for me. But I am sitting here now after having played the game regularly for almost 2 months. I care. I want to see where the story goes next.
It just keeps making promises. We keep meeting more and more characters, and we don't even know if they're important yet.
I think more importantly, like it keeps delivering on those promises.
Right.
Like I was really impressed with like what a bow was tied on, you know, at least the original credits of A Realm Reborn. Like all of the, you know, the villains that we meet along the way that are constantly showing up and taunting you from the shadows. Like you face off with each and every one of them, and even like, you know, it didn't matter how fast I was ferried through the Praetorium, I still felt really satisfied at the end of it in terms of like the closing of a chapter. I was expecting to like the game and think the story was just a nice little addition. But now I've like more and more, I find myself wanting to log in to see what happens next. And that's like, for me, probably my biggest surprise.
Yep.
This game could be single player, but happens to allow you to hang out and watch a whole concert of Final Fantasy VI music if you want, being performed by the Dancing Pope. It's just, it is the open world experience that I personally was missing.
That is, I think, like that is the perfect storm that makes it, I think, the success that it has become. Is if you kind of divide it into two very, very basic chunks, which is like what is there from the developers and what is created by the community in game. Like those two things they're both really good, as it turns out. Like there's a really good story, there's really good gameplay mechanics and systems and content to enjoy. And then the community itself is just vibrant as can be. And that's another one of those things, like people told me time and time again, this is kind of my through line in today's episode, is like, I was told, I didn't listen. It turned out to be more true than I thought. It really is just one of the most vibrant in-game communities I have ever seen, certainly since Burning Crusade era World of Warcraft. It's always nice when...
Okay, look, Burning Crusade era World of Warcraft was... It was okay. I guess vibrant does not necessarily mean good. It's just like, yeah, there was a lot of people there. Yeah, sure. It was all right. But it's like, I don't know. I've never felt like the World of Warcraft community was anywhere close to the stuff that I've experienced in 14. Good God, I'm getting hit by literally everything. But yeah, I never felt like it was anywhere close to what I experienced in 14 because, I don't know, there's just you get this desire that people want to help you. People want to help you through it. Like, for instance, what I did for Gaijin earlier this morning, which is not a big deal at all, which is basically I was like, okay, let me explain to you how this stuff works to make sure that you're all set up, that you can, just get started and have fun, and driving you around in my 2-seater mount and all of this stuff and showing you some cool shit. Like, yeah, would I have done it for other people? I don't know if I would have done that for other people in WoW. I don't know. I don't even know exactly why that is, but I just don't think that WoW would have lent itself to the same way. Like, I've shown the ropes to people in WoW, but it's different. I can't explain exactly why. Maybe I'm an asshole. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing, but I can explain why.
When hype lives up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And the hype, for me, has certainly lived up. But we have been told in the comments that usually it's one or the other. You either burn out in A Realm Reborn or you become a walking advertisement for the game.
It's the filter.
It does kind of sound like that. I feel like we just need to be critical for critical's sake, so we're not gushing or anything like that. But it is nice here heading towards the holidays to have such a hobby at hand.
Yeah, I like to try and look at all angles, but like at the end of the day, the TLDR and all of this is like, yes, Final Fantasy XIV is indeed a special game.
Well, and I'm feeling very strong about it because I remember getting into Warlords of Draenor and them doing basically the Borderlands ripoff, if you want to call it. The boss would show up, they'd sort of slow-mo pause, they put the name on. I'm like, I can't wait to fight that guy. And I never did because I didn't raid. But I just went through the Crystal Tower. I just finished A Realm Reborn. Like, the game doesn't subvert your expectations. It's not going to do anything that's going to be particularly mind-blowing. You might even be able to slam dunk predict everything, which I'm very proud of. But
here's the important part about what the game does do. It teaches you how to raid better than World of Warcraft, as far as I'm concerned. It does a much better job of teaching you how to raid than World of Warcraft ever did. Like, in World of Warcraft, you jump into a raid and you hope that people will be nice and talk about the tactics. Most of the times people will be like, oh, watch the video. And it's like, there's that in 14 as well, like when it comes to Party Finder and extremes and the harder content. But like the normal raids, you can actually queue into them, and it's not like a mindless button mashing like friggin' LFR. You actually have to know a couple of things. Otherwise, you're going to get absolutely slammed when it comes to some of these raids. So, I think the game does a much better job at teaching the player how to raid, and it does a better job of incorporating like things into just the flow of gameplay of a regular player. Because, like, for instance, you look at Shadowlands, and in Shadowlands, you can finish the story of that. I don't know if the whole story, because by the time I was playing, obviously there's the renown unlocks and all of that stuff. But in Shadowlands, you can kind of just like go through the whole game, and you never interact with another single human being ever. And some people might think that that's a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing, but that's just me. But, you know, that's just like the way that I look at it. I kind of feel like the way that they did it in 14 of actually having you do raids and whatnot, I think that is a much better positive than, you know, just like don't do dungeons at all. And even though now in 14 there's a big portion of those dungeons you can do them with trusts, which is slower. So a lot of people choose not to do it like that. But, you know, it tries to find like a balanced middle ground where players can like play with other players, and there will be things where you have to play with other players, and then there's things where you don't have to play with other players, you know. But it does make an effort to teach you about mechanics so that you can jump into the raids and not feel like you're completely useless and don't have a single clue on what you're doing. You know, like what Quinn did when he skipped the game, you know, like that, so that you don't look like that. If you don't skip, you're not going to look like Quinn. You're not going to make all of those dumb mistakes. But, you know, if you do skip, then, you know, all bets are off. You do you, dude.
It's really well done. And that reward that you paid attention and you get what you wanted out of it, but also it's really well done, is this perfect storm of enjoyment for me.
My expectations have been surpassed. And it's like I'm bought into my character, which again is like I usually get pretty bought into my characters in MMOs, but I'm really, really attached to my Final Fantasy XIV character that I gave a really dumb name.
Tuna no crust.
Not
No!
Bad about it. I know it's kind of charming, and I laugh every time I log in.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Really attached to
dude.
my emo turquoise hair and my beautiful, beautiful face.
It's funny. I am one who constantly questions my character design until probably halfway through a BioWare game. But they gave me, when I completed, you know, the base of Realm Reborn, that bottle that would let me completely change my appearance. And I can't do it. This is just who I am.
Oh, I didn't realize I had one of those sitting around.
Yeah, you got one in your inventory. If you would like to be
Fantasia.
a Catman, you can now do that, or, you know, anything if you sort of own all the expansions.
To talk about looking forward, it's really just that I am looking forward. I haven't been in love with the political arc of the Realm Reborn patches. Like every time I see people sitting around a table, I'm just like, here we go again. Give me another primal to fight, which apparently I'm about to go fight another primal. I'm back out in the Snowy Dragon area.
Okay.
And there's some nice creepy setup. I saw there was a weird like zero setup cinematic where they showed a scary Pope guy.
Oh yeah. That doesn't make a lot of sense yet.
No, it doesn't.
It will.
Although I think I did just literally
Don't worry about it.
see a line of text where they're explaining that there's a bishop character, and I'm like, oh, there it is. There's that's probably who they're talking about. Like it's another one of these like surprises, like where I'm suddenly really into like I can say primals and I know what it means. I've learned new vernacular, and also I'm excited to see more primals because so far none of them have disappointed. But a little bit ago I did the striking tree.
Omega Beard, yeah.
Oh yeah. I wanted to call him like ballsack beard because that's kind of what
Oh,
it looked like.
what?
Undulation.
No, dude.
What a
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay, they actually don't like this video. What the hell? Dude, what the hell? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Garrett? Ballsack beard? Dude, no, that's it. I'm retracting my like. After this dungeon, I'm retracting my like. I'll have you know, Garrett. It is what it is, dude. You've done messed up. You can't. How dare you, dude? How dare you? How dare you disrespect Papa Ramu like that? You can't do that. You can't just like flat out disrespect Papa Ramu like that. That's wrong. I'm gonna give this guy a heart attack. I'm super bowl-eyed.
Character model, like he's just so over the top and wondrous. as much as I like wanted the goof on the beard, I also loved it. Like absolutely loved the style.
You're
of that
goddamn right,
and,
you loved it.
And that whole arc
How dare
getting
you.
in there was just delightfully dramatic. So
okay,
more primals,
I'm gonna
please.
rescind,
More
I'm gonna,
any summons.
I'm
I
let
think
you
a
have
couple
the like
episodes
after
ago
all.
too, you said,
want it
"Oh,
back.
you enjoy King Moogle because the song is amazing," and you were not wrong.
Good King Moogle, good King Bog. Good King Moogle, good King
Well, I
Bog.
mean, you're a Tim Burton fan,
No.
so it's basically just a Nightmare Before Christmas song.
It hadn't
healer
crossed
took
my
their
mind,
revenge.
but yeah, you are once again correct, Kyle.
Absolutely outrageous, and what a fart off, an absolute fart off after the end of a Realm Reborn primary. Like you're just what? Where are we going? What am I doing here?
Listen, I will take that over the political intrigue mini arc for sure. Also, I was so excited to leave the Waking Sands. I'm like, yes, no more double loading. They just put you in a new double loading place.
Yeah, they do.
The area I think is cooler. I like that it's kind of a little like spookier and more desolate.
Right, it's classic castle. Yeah, a bit.
About the double loading thing, I actually like it when you have a headquarters. I think that's really cool. If, like, for instance, one of the things that I really loved about rogues was their quest line. Like I wanted to play a rogue just because I wanted to try it out. I didn't like the ninja. When I got the ninja, I was like, this Mudra stuff, I don't like it. So I kind of like hopped out of it at that point. But the rogues, I really like the fact that they had their little like what's called little headquarters thing. I really like that. I thought it was really cool. So I like when you have like jobs that have headquarters. I think that is a nice touch.
Like that I have to go through a bar to get to the new hideout. Like that's infinitely cooler to me, but I'm still like, could we just put Minfilia in the same goddamn room as everybody else, please?
No,
I don't know.
Special.
I don't know why. Maybe it's a product of the time. You can't summon pets in there either, so maybe it's just like got restrictions.
I'm sure there's got to be some sort of technical thing. I mean, almost every time you go in there, there's like a cinematic, and I wonder if it's just easier. I have no idea. That's probably my biggest pet peeve, and that again couldn't be higher praise. The fact that like just going to Minfilia's office is the thing that has consistently annoyed me in A Realm Reborn. I'll get past it. I won't get past it because I'll keep mentioning it, but I'm going to keep playing this game.
Fair enough. I'm really looking forward to unlocking some of the classes that I haven't been able to get yet. I really want to try Astrologian. That is
Astro is really fun.
It's been memed as the Yu-Gi-Oh healer.
Oh,
it's
boy.
really fun, dude.
You want to sell Kyle on anything, just say Yu-Gi-Oh.
The idea of a card drawing class and having that be some sort of random element, I really don't know what the gameplay's like, but you can dig up a tweet where I said, if I play Final Fantasy seriously, I will play Astrology. And that was like in June, before I actually got heavily back into this. I've read a lot about them. I have no idea how it plays. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I went and unlocked the Red Mage this past weekend, and it was just like, here at the bar. The whole 50 bar, just one pile, bonus buttons and all.
Yeah, Red Mage was the second class I went to go pick up because a lot of folks recommended it in the comments, and it does sound cool. And as soon as it gave me my bar, I was like, I'm going to go right back to Summoner. This is scary.
It is. And the guy you're chilling with is like, hey, just balance the magics, bro. Also fight with me. I have no idea how to balance these magics. I don't know what buttons spend what. The tool tips are equally as confusing. I got to go find a guide if I really want to invest in that. But
yeah, that's been because then I also went and got Samurai, which I'm significantly more interested in, and I think was a lot more approachable out the gate. But I did spend a little more time reading up about it. But I need to find a good resource that has not max level guides. It seems like it's really easy to find like level 80 guides and above. Are we above level 80? I don't even know what the new cap is.
I think we're 90. Yeah.
90.
We're 90. Okay. I haven't looked into it. I've really been taking heed from commenters that are just like, don't worry about looking too far ahead. Just enjoy where you're at and take a sling.
Exactly.
So I'm like, what's happening in Heaven or in Endwalker? I have no idea. And it's really liberating. That's another thing I really been digging about the game. But yeah, Samurai is cool. I really like the intro quest to that. I think I'll probably go back and dabble with it, but I do have this pull to the story, even though, again, I'm still in the middle of Realm Reborn patches and it's not my favorite. But I think, if you listen to the last few episodes, I talked about how I was kind of still feeling this pull to like, I want to get into higher stuff. I'm still feeling pulled to want to level through the stories, but it's no longer because I feel this great need to get to what I quote unquote end game. Like I'm still thinking about it like World of Warcraft. Now I just feel this pull because I just really want to see the story continue. So I still just kind of want to play through the story and not spend too much time flirting around with other jobs. But Black Knight is, I think, become the number one thing at the top of my list that I want to go try when I get to the point. I don't believe I can start it yet. But yeah, I want to play Black Knight. That's at the tip top of my want to play list.
Yeah, I'm really interested in all the other tanks, Black Knight included. I'd love to find a DPS. I, of course, just want to do Reaper, but there's going to be like a million of them for a very long time. And I like being special. So
you want to be a unique little
even
snowflake?
If I was high enough to take part in that class, I don't think I would quite yet. Man, there's some cool abilities in there. Oh, like you summon a shadow that attacks for you, and then you can like be enveloped in the shadow and become one with it. You got a big old scythe. Just cool.
It is, and yeah, that's like the now I like the look of Final Fantasy XIV. Like I think because I've become invested in this world, I am now invested in like the style and the look of it. And something I used to like back growing up, my friends were playing.
There's definitely an aspect to what he's talking about here, because that kind of happened to me as well. Like I always felt like the art style of this game was not for me, because like you're coming from World of Warcraft, you used to that more cartoony art style, and for some reason the Final Fantasy XIV style does not look as appealing. But after you start seeing the story and the stuff that they're able to do with the cinematic cutscenes and all of that stuff, then it starts growing on you much, much, much more. So that's the way that I feel about it.
Final Fantasy games, I always joke. We're just like, oh yeah, your belts and your buckles game, enjoy.
Oh yeah, Titus's pants made no sense, and the monsters had too many horns, and they were all curly.
Titus's pants make no sense. Orin is really cool looking, and Lulu is too hot. That's all you need to know about Final Fantasy X.
Lulu was the yellow bikini one?
No, Lulu was the goth.
Oh right, with the shoulders, Yeah, okay. There's a very powerful thing that I refer to in Dungeons and Dragons as mental graphics. It is there is investment involved. It is more powerful to show a D&D player a picture of a lion, a dragon, and a snake and say there's a chimera than show them a picture of a chimera. Like when your brain puts it together and you overlay the importance onto it, it looks way better than it did before. And we were doing that with World of Warcraft. We had investment. The graphics looked better in our minds because we were moving through them. Personally, I think every MMO looks bad on a stream. I think
if you're completely unfamiliar with it, I don't think really MMO sells well just by looking at it.
Yeah,
it's something.
I think that depends very much on the UI. Because, like, if you look at a World of Warcraft UI, like a rating UI that's like chock full of fucking bars and cooldown timers and all of this fucking optimization bullshit, then that doesn't look appealing at all. But if you have like a more minimalistic UI, I think that an MMO can look pretty damn good, in my opinion. But when you start filling out everything with bars, I think it does start to get worse. But I feel like 14 actually does a really good job with the UI that allows it, that lets it get away with it.
Yeah, I think you really have to experience yourself. But yeah, man, this has just been a fun ride. This has been a really, really fun ride. Like for folks that, if this is your first time being introduced to Kyle and myself, we've been doing video game podcasting for 11 years. This is our 11th year working together, making content, but we have typically made audio content, doing podcasts. We used to talk about StarCraft. We still have a podcast where we talk about Heroes of the Storm. This has been an experience unlike anything else, and I'm really excited to continue it and get into it in the new year. And my goal is we're going to be taking next week off, enjoying the holidays. Over the holiday break, I want to wrap up A Realm Reborn and have a chat about that probably as our next video. This is not set in stone, but this is where my head's at. But I'm just really excited to see where it goes, because the reaction to us starting to make Final Fantasy XIV videos, it really has just been great. Like the meanest thing anyone says, that you just keep yelling copium at me whenever I say anything positive about World of Warcraft.
Copium.
We've got copium here.
Yep, copium.
And that's fine.
Still on copium.
Other than that, like, it's just
hardcore
been, like,
copium.
I haven't had experience like this in a really, I think, ever. I've been told the Final Fantasy XIV community is very kind, and again, the theme of this video, I was told I didn't
Inside
listen,
the game,
and
yes,
my expectations were exceeded. That's
Outside
definitely
the
what happened
game,
with the community as well. People seem to dig this.
Sometimes.
Like, some of our best performing videos are where we just sit here and kind of talk about our experience with the game. And it's typically that sort of stuff doesn't perform well in my experience making content. So I think it's really cool, because it's like one of my favorite things in this world is to sit down with you, dude, because we've been friends a long time, and just pick your brain about what you're enjoying in games, and getting to experience this alongside you through Final Fantasy XIV and make these videos. It's just been a really rewarding experience. I just want to fight with you about dungeons as we move it around a fake wall that we made in Photoshop.
Absolutely. It's been great having something of this level to share, not only with you, but with the community, and be a part of something again in gaming. It feels like it's been a really long time.
In an MMO space, for sure. I've had my friends and I had my communities in World of Warcraft, but yeah, this feels like fresh and new, and I don't know, like I'm in the middle of a community that's just so much larger than I can really fathom, which is a feeling I haven't had in other MMOs in quite a while. So it's been really cool. And so to our new subscribers, people who are experiencing us for the first time, and kind of just the Final Fantasy XIV community, like, thanks for hanging, and thanks for, like, at least from me, because you had more knowledge coming into this, Kyle, but I've been guided a lot by the comments. So thank you very much for, like, getting in there and being like, oh, you should try this, or this is how you can make your gameplay a little bit better. And thank you very much to everyone who went out of your way to be like, don't feel like you need to rush. Just calm down and enjoy the ride. I would never categorize myself as a calm person. I am enjoying the ride. So anyways, it's going to wrap it up for this one.
It's like one of the important things here is also the importance of the calm down. Cause like, even I didn't rush through it. I definitely didn't rush through it. But at the same time, now that I've played Endwalker and I was all caught up, and the fact that I wasn't streaming it as well, the fact that I was just like playing it for myself, I can tell you right now, I definitely played Endwalker a lot differently than I've played any of the other expansions. And unfortunately, I just kind of feel like the whole thing about taking it in, sure, a lot of us will do our best to take it in and to go slow and all that, but you can really only experience that when the expansion is the latest one, because there's always a part of your brain that's telling you, okay, on to the next thing. Let's do the next thing, which is why, like, with Endwalker, I've actually completed a lot more side quests than I've ever completed in any of the other expansions, because I wanted to, I want to see where the MSQ goes. And it's like, it's only when the MSQ stops that my brain's like, okay, the MSQ is over. We can go check out some other stuff now. And I never had that with the other ones.
Always make sure you like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Get one over on the algorithm. You're going to get the latest uploads from us. You won't miss them if you get those notifications. And we have new uploads every Wednesday morning. The big exception being we're taking next week off before the holidays. I hope everyone has a great break. To get in touch with us personally, my Twitter is Garrett Art, and Kyle's is Kyle Ferguson. So until next time, good luck, have fun, and Happy New Year.
Take care.
Oh, look, it's their two characters. wait. Kyle's in Ironworks gear. Look at that Ironworks gear, Kyle. What are you doing? It's completely mismatched. Come on. I'm joking. Toxic Rurikhan comes out once again. Yeah, that was a really good video, guys. Make sure to go ahead and like that. I haven't really subbed to her, but I'm going to sub as well. That was good. I like that.